Hey guys, welcome back to Selelr Sessions 4 p.m. BST on a Wednesday afternoon. Today with me in their own studios, not mine, is Tim Jordan and Norm Farrar. And of course, we're waiting on Brandon Young, who tends to be late. He'll turn up here in the next few minutes. Today, we're going to be talking about trends that we'll see is happening on Amazon over the next year that will be beneficial, or hopefully beneficial, to your business. Norm, do you want to give a quick introduction?
Sure. I'm Norm Farrar. Some people know me as the Beard Guy. I've been involved in e-com since the mid-90s and been involved with Amazon since about 2013, 2014. I work with brands. I've got a content marketing or communications company. I'm also recently Tim Jordan's partner in the Centurion Group and Private Label Legion.
Nice. So do you want to quickly tell us about that? That's a bit sneaky. Let us know about this.
Tim should do it. He's the one that snuck in everything.
Okay.
To intro me, my name's Tim Jordan. I've been in e-commerce since about 2015. I do a lot of stuff, been involved with a lot of people. There you go, Norm, rocking the helmet. And I'm Chief Growth Officer at Seller's Funding. I work with some other companies doing some different things. I'm still an e-commerce seller. And then about 2 years ago, I started a group coaching and mentorship program called the Centurion League as part of the Private Label Legion. And I wanted to bring in a stellar partner this year. So we've officially brought in Norm as partners with me. So he and I run what I believe is one of the better community coaching programs in the Amazon e-commerce space.
Should I put on the helmet again?
Yeah,
go on. I didn't see it.
I do like this.
Lovely. Can we keep that on for the show? You know it's Selelr Session, so anything goes.
Sure.
I don't know if you took your shirt off.
Here he is. Look, that beard's getting longer as well. Look, we're all got beards. The 4 beard musketeers.
You know, I was going to say something about beards, and it's like, no, Brandon never has a beard. Then he pops in, and he's got it going.
Brandon,
it's more like I haven't had time to shave.
I'd claim it was intentional.
Do you think there's a bit of hot stuff around Norm there? It's like he's going to drive the ladies crazy with his Viking look. Look.
There you go.
How you doing, Brandon?
Good. I think I can. Be right back.
Yeah, you're on. Oh, he's going to come back in a minute. Okay, so let's get on. We're 2 minutes and 47 seconds in, and we haven't spoke about any content yet. Norm, where's the hat gone?
Oh, you want me to keep it on?
I'm being serious. Yeah, let's keep that look going.
All right. Is that better? Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. We heard you the first time round.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very blue in your room. Have you adjust the white balance on your camera?
I haven't. I don't even know how to do that.
We'll
it's a Canon. After. I'm sure you can, but I have no idea.
If anyone can, Canon can. Right. Okay. Quick introduction, Brandon, and then we'll get on with the show.
I'm Brandon Young. My wife and I are sellers on Amazon. I also teach others how to sell private label, create, find, build their Amazon private label businesses.
Superb. All right, let's kick off the show. So the essence of the show today is trends on Amazon in 2021. Kicking off with you, Tim, give us some things that your predictions for this year.
I think that one, things are just going to continue to be huge. I was recently looking at some data and working with Seller's Funding. We have some cool data because we're connected to about 13 or 14,000 user accounts, so we can pull data. And if you look back at last year, the dip, and also some of this comes from Marketplace Pulse, the dip between like December to the middle of January was about a 45% drop in volume. And that's pretty typical. This year, we're on trend to only drop about 15%. Right? And I think that's due to a couple things. One is the adoption rate of e-commerce is higher. You know, with the lockdowns and the COVID stuff, people that used to not buy online went, holy crap, this Amazon thing is easy. I think I'll use it. But also, as we continue to have more influx of the virus and, you know, especially some states are starting to really lock down again and become more socially distanced and things like that, people just continue to e-commerce. So I suspect that this year we're going to continue to see the trend that started last year of massively high adoption rates of e-commerce for all sorts of products, which of course is not, you know, caused by a good reason, but it's great for us.
Yeah. Cool. Another prediction for us?
I think that voice is going to continue to be huge. You know, people have talked about voice search and things like that, needing to optimize for voice for a short period of time, maybe the past year or so. But at least myself, I haven't really taken it seriously because I didn't know where to start. And it's because, you hear talk about just Alexa or Google Voice, but all of these voice engines, the search engines, are starting to integrate with each other, right? So now you can use Alexa to actually search Amazon, and you can use Siri to search Google. Like, it's getting crazy. And if you look at, voice, initially people were just using it on their Alexa or their, whatever the Apple devices, the stuff that's on your counter. But now all of this stuff is becoming highly integrated in mobile devices, right? So I think the search is becoming more widely used, and I think that there's a big opportunity for people to use specific optimization related to voice to start selling e-commerce products.
Yeah, I've got a friend who's got a voice-based company they started about 18 months ago. Adoption's been a bit slow than expected. Everyone wants to do it, but they're not putting their bucks behind it yet in terms of brands. But sometimes you have to take a punt on where the puck is going. And that's what they're doing at the moment. I can see voice being quite prominent. It's going to change the landscape in terms of how we look at things as well as marketers. Brandon, what's your take on voice?
It's not something that we're focusing on, and I think Tim, like Tim said, I mean, there's so many things you can do in this business that it's hard to do them all. I do agree that as smart devices become more prominent and people become more used to shopping through voice, through Alexa, through smart devices, then voice is going to continue to grow for sure.
Cool. Norm, anything on voice?
Haven't really done much with voice. Looking at it, we're waiting to see what's going to happen. But no, we haven't touched it really.
Yeah, but you've got a great voice, Norm. You've got a great voice.
Yeah. in that fetching hat as well. Brandon, some predictions from you. Kicking off, what's your first prediction for 2021?
Oh, just like Tim said, massive growth. I think that there's going to be a huge trend from competitors to play in the e-commerce space. It's going to be a bigger year for you to start focusing off of Amazon onto other platforms. Pay attention to TikTok. Pay attention to Facebook Marketplace, Shopify integrations. Shopify is going to become a big player, I think, with regards to their own marketplace. Before, it was very pillared and isolated. You would have to drive a lot of traffic yourself. But I think as Shopify begins to create more of an integrated marketplace where people can shop stores easier for certain products and brands, I can see them becoming more of like what a Taobao is, which is really brand oriented. And I think Amazon's moving in that direction too. If you think about the focus that Amazon has right now on storefronts, it's because they want people to focus on brand shopping and that type of service or that experience. For us, I think the video is going to be a huge player. That's why I think services like where you could do live shopping, like Facebook Marketplace, where they integrate their Facebook Live, which isn't out yet, but that's the direction they're going to go. And I think that'll launch this year. I think TikTok is going to be a major player. People are underestimating how many people will buy through TikTok. The reason we know that is because we just look at China. And I've said it before on your show. We always look at China for trends to see where we're going here in the States because they're so much further ahead of us in the e-commerce space.
Well, there's a Chinese, I can't remember the name of it. There's a Chinese version of TikTok. I met one of the influencers when I was over in China last year. She's got like 3 million followers or something like that. It's incredible.
Yeah. So TikTok is Chinese owned, and they're just from that service. So they tried to pretend that they weren't Chinese owned. So they've made it as, I guess, isolated as possible or independent as possible. But the reality is that it's not. It's really it really is that same software. But what they're going to do is start rolling out the same features they have in China, and one of those things is live shopping. You can, while you're watching someone's video, whether they're live or not, you can swipe up and purchase directly through the app. Those influencers.
Yeah. Now, let me ask about TikTok, Brandon. I've been a little bit hesitant to get on TikTok because I'm scared of the stability of it. And what I mean by that, I don't mean this politically, but we know that there's been a lot of antitrust issues with TikTok. There's been a lot of security. And remember, a few months ago, there was that fear that the TikTok servers are actually going to be blocked from, a lot of US, UK, European networks. I don't necessarily agree that that's the right thing to do or whatever, but it definitely worries me. And even today, have you guys seen the headlines about Jack Ma?
Yeah.
In the last 24 hours?
Yeah.
There's some
that's been out for a couple of weeks in China, and we're just starting to hear about it here.
Starting to hear about it. Some crazy stuff going on. So I think that TikTok is massively valuable, but I've always had like in the back of my mind, like this little fear of what if it turns into something that we can't continue to use and we lose our essentially investment in the platform. What do you think? And do you think that if it comes down to that, the Chinese owned company will sell it to a US based entity to keep it going, which is what I would do.
Yeah, of course. I think that that's what they're going to have to do. So I don't think Biden's going to be as hard on China as Trump was. I mean, I don't know that that's a good thing either. I mean, as much as I hate paying tariffs, I think that we've got to be tough on China in certain aspects, right? The IP issue being one of them, some of the intellectual property issues. But one of the things that I think will happen is if that becomes more and more of an issue, they will be forced to sell to a U.S.-based company, which could only make it better. Like, if you end up with a company, I mean, who was looking at it before? It wasn't Cisco, was it? Huh?
Tencent?
No, Tencent owns it. But who was looking to buy it last time?
I can't remember.
Well, Microsoft at one time was looking.
Microsoft, yeah. So Microsoft comes in, and they've never really had
they've never nailed social.
Yeah, they've never had an entry into social or marketplaces or shopping, right? So like that's their marketplace and their entry into it. And if you think about all the big players that are out there that would love their own marketplace, look at Apple. Like there are certain places that really make sense, or companies that have the cash sitting around that can say, yeah, no problem. Here's 50 billion, right? Like I really don't see it just dying. It's too valuable.
I agree. So that potential acquisition was a joint venture between Microsoft and Walmart.
Oh, it was Walmart, which is huge.
Could you imagine
Walmart's another place I think is all the potential in the world. So the biggest barrier to entry for e-commerce has always been like for people to compete against Amazon. For me, has been the fulfillment, right? FBA, like Prime has been their moat. If you don't have large warehouses that can pack the stuff and ship it regionally and then get it to someone within 1 or 2 days, then you have trouble competing. But when people are buying on TikTok and they're okay waiting 3 to 5 days for whatever they're buying because it's more of an experience, that's where live video can compete.
Yeah, we're going to do a dedicated show in a few weeks on TikTok. I'm going to bring Anthony Lee back because his goal is to get to 100,000. Now,
I follow him. He's great. If you guys don't follow him, make sure you do. He's great on there. He posts daily. Like he's dedicated.
Yeah, he's dedicated. And I mean, we briefly mentioned it last year when he started, when he was at 7,000 and at 33,000, I think. But he's trying to hit the 100,000. Be interesting how that develops out. I still find it kind of like a bizarre platform. I can't put it completely into words, but do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember RoboCop, the first one, where they go into the shop and you see like the little TVs and stuff, but it's ported into the future? That's what it reminds me of. It just seems quite bizarre. Like there's some good content on there, but I think that's definitely got to a point where over the years with us using mobile devices, our attention becomes less and less. TikTok is really buying into that, like these short 15, 30-second clips. Yeah. And I think they're sending people more and more that way because they're constant flicking. So it's going to be interesting we know that in terms of commerce, or when a page loads on a website, people make a decision under that 10 seconds or so. So it's going to be interesting how you can integrate someone's attention and the purchase of and the intent of the purchase. Because if you've got something very complex, you're not going to watch it in a TikTok video and be able to sell that across because you don't have the background in history to get the buyer to buy it. So it really is going to come down to the products, I think, is how can you capture that in the first 10 or 15 seconds?
Well, it's not only that, Danny, it's the fact that their algorithm, the brilliance of their algorithm is how simplistic it is. The more time you spend watching a certain type of video, and the more you like certain types of videos, then you get more of those videos, more videos that are similar to that. Yeah, it's very simple. So if you spend 10 minutes watching a girl put on makeup, you're probably going to get a lot more, influencers that are taking off and putting on makeup constantly. And by the way, that is one of the best selling products for influencers on the Chinese version. You have hundreds of channels of girls that all they do is take off makeup, put on makeup, and they feature the 5 or 10 pieces of makeup and layers that they put on, and then you swipe up and you can buy it. And they're selling containers full of makeup.
Yeah. So it's great if you're selling in beauty, there's a great angle there, but it's just finding your route in. How do you make that work? How do you engage the influencer?
It all comes down, it's individual preferences based on your behavior. So it's behavior driven preferences, and then it makes the experience better for the person watching, and it steers people that you want to target to view you or watch you. So it's so simple, but it's what makes it so effective.
So anyone out there listening at the moment, if you're into TikTok, go and follow Norm Farrar Viking on TikTok and see some of his stories there, because he's dressed to kill at the moment. Let's bring Norm in. Like, I can imagine, Norm, TikTok must be right up your street. Talk to me.
We are trying to break into TikTok. We are. But, Brandon's given me a great idea. I am going to be one of those makeup models.
Right.
I think I can do it.
We can work with that. Might get it all in your beard, but, take it on, put it back on.
Makeup.
Yeah, hashtag makeup.
Hashtag makeup tutorials.
Norm, some predictions from you.
Sure. I agree 100% about the video. That's going to be one of the main things. But ShopLoop, if you haven't checked it out, ShopLoop is Google's answer to influencer marketing. It's like having your own shopping channel. That I think is going to be pretty big this year. And Tim, I'm sure everybody's on, but Clubhouse, that's the big thing. I think if you want to get your brand out there, it hasn't happened yet, but Clubhouse is exploding. You can only get in by invitation right now. The people that are talking about it are mostly talking about e-commerce or making money on the internet. But if you can start breaking in, I was just talking to a few musicians last night, and they're on Clubhouse now. So that's something that I think is going to go it's going to explode. Yeah. One of the other things that we were looking at is that the inventory strategies. So we thought we had it set that we'd have some in China, we'd have half of it in our 3PL, and then the other part in Amazon. Well, even as of today, we've been warning people about the Chinese New Year and how if you haven't ordered in November, basically, that you're going to have a problem. And we were placing an order, and thank God we had inventory in China. But they've just told us that instead of 2 months production, it's now 4 months production, and we're only going to get these products in our warehouse in June. That happened this morning. So that was kind of scary. So being able to balance and creating a better inventory strategy. And I still think that system works when you do have it over in China, or you have some in China so you can get them onto the water as soon as possible without having to wait the extra 2 months. So let's see, I don't know, but I believe that this is going to be the year of more restrictions, more certification.
Yeah.
It's coming. If Amazon can see a lawsuit, they're going to protect themselves. And I'm looking at the supplement market, and you can ingest any supplement from anybody with anything in it, basically, and there's no restrictions. I think that's going to be one of the harder hit. I'm seeing it right now that they're being tougher and tougher and tougher on getting into the marketplace. However, and if you are in the marketplace, and Tim and I talked about this briefly the other day, if you're in the marketplace and you survive and you want to put forth the energy to do all this, you might be one of the few that are. 90% of your competition are not willing to put in the money, and now you're the last person standing.
Well, Tom Norton, the last person that just commented, we were actually talking about this in his in our coaching call. He was seeing where things are being restricted that are even like related to spraying chemicals, right? So it used to be like Roundup was restricted. Now, like, you can't even get a pump sprayer because there are people out there spraying stuff. So it's like EPA restrictions. And to me, I actually like that, because cheap pump sprayers out there are never going to go through the process of getting EPA registered and getting the quality checks and getting all that stuff. And it's not terribly difficult. SGS can pretty much do 99% of that stuff that you need. You pay a few $100s, you wait a month, you get it. But now 90% of your competition disappears off of Amazon. And I think Norm's right. I think this year of restriction because of Amazon's liability. You look back at the last 4 months, Amazon's getting their pants suit off and they're losing lawsuits, liable for all this stuff. And Amazon's lawyers are going, crap, we gotta protect ourselves right now.
Got to shore it up, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
I agree with that, Tim. Like, I think that the same thing is happening in supplements as well. What they've recently done, which is, I think, more important than sprayers.
I think if you're selling supplements now, you need one of Norm's hats, basically. Your Viking hat, yeah.
Well, supplements was always super competitive, but it was full of people cheating and selling pills like that were just magic pills full of nothing, and like you wouldn't even be able to know, right? Now Amazon's requiring that you have certifications for every single ingredient inside of the supplement, which for a lot of people is almost impossible to get and can cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So a lot of people that were selling supplements are no longer selling supplements.
Well, what do you guys think about liability insurance? My crystal ball is that the biggest hammer that's going to drop, and it's going to drop suddenly, swiftly, and without warning, is the liability insurance thing, right? Amazon has said for years as terms of service, you have to have product liability insurance, but they've never enforced it. And what we've seen in the past, remember we first saw it with the hoverboards like 3 or 4 years ago, back when Howard Ty, was doing his hoverboard thing and they caught on fire. But then they were kind of silent about it. And over the past 2 or 3 months, I've seen Amazon sending out reminders. Hey, make sure you get it. Make sure you get it. And the way Amazon works, they're not going to give a warning. It's going to be like everybody wakes up tomorrow morning. It's like you have 3 days to submit your proof of insurance, your insurance documents.
It'll be a really good week to be
I can tell you that whole hoverboard thing was a nightmare. I got a friend at Amazon over at HQ. She sits between the suspension team and Seller Central and kind of runs the show above there. And she dealt with the hoverboard. She dealt with the Eclipse. Do you remember the Eclipse glasses as well? Yeah, and that was a fucking mess for Amazon, a massive, massive headache and mess. And you're right. I think it's just going to they're just going to turn the screw more and more and put it back onto the seller for sure.
Yeah. So that's my crystal ball prediction. The biggest restriction is not product; it's going to be the insurance. And I suspect
how do we get into the insurance business? Like we need to open up an agency and just start promoting insurance. Come on, Tim, let's do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think Lee Ren used to sell insurance, didn't he? He used to have an insurance company. Maybe we'll get him to set one up.
I don't know. I do know that one of the hot topics recently has been insurance for international sellers. Because if you're in the U.S., getting liability insurance for your products is pretty easy. Once you find the right person that understands, it's pretty cheap. But if I'm in, where was it, Norm? We have some students in Australia, right? If you're Australian, where do you get liability insurance for the U.S.? Well, a U.S. company won't insure their Australian company. So they're talking about getting an Australian insurance company to insure their Australian-owned products. But we don't yet know if Amazon is going to recognize an international liability company because there may be some payout problems. So this may turn into a situation where people with foreign entities are going to have to go ahead and get a U.S. entity, get U.S. insurance. We just don't know. But it's a little bit scary because it's going to upset a lot of apple carts.
Norm, any other predictions from you?
Well, just a comment. So we've got these issues, let's say, with TikTok, but forget if there was even an issue with TikTok. Everything that we're doing on video right now, download and repurpose. So, if you've got these TikTok, get it onto Reels, get it onto all this other stuff, and repurpose, any of your brand content. Like repurposing is it's a freebie. It's gravy, and it costs nothing to do. So that's one of the things that I would probably promote as one of the top tips.
Yeah. Posts. You've been big on posts, Norm, haven't you?
Yeah, huge posts.
Let's talk about that and where you see the trends are for that. And do you think that's going to take off and grow a set of wings?
Yeah, and you know what? We were talking about building a brand community. Posts, images, Amazon Live, video, they go together. And now Amazon's coming out with, building your brand story, which is going to be cool too. You put the three of them together, you've got this great brand or this great community. They've also, if you go onto your brand feed page, you'll see that you can create followers. You can't see the followers right now, but you can see that you've got 100, 700, 2,000, whatever it is. And when you're working with posts or with Amazon Live, people get notifications. So on Live, you get a notification if you're going on, if you're a follower. So I think that's going to carry over to posts. So when you post, that happens. One of the bigger changes that have happened just recently, we used to be able to take a post and you could do it multiple times, try to re-engage. And now they've stopped that. We're getting notifications that, no, you can't post. It was already posted on this date. So either we have to take down the post, delete it, withdraw it, and then try to repost it that way. But it has become a little bit more challenging to do. Biggest trend really for Amazon Post, if you're not doing it, just get people to tag you on Instagram. Download an app called Repost. And then Repost is just all you're doing is saving your photos to your Apple Photo or wherever, then uploading them into Instagram. And you've got all this social proof with people using your product. We found that that's kind of thinking a little bit outside of the envelope. Get them to write a bloody recipe. And if you really can work with them, just say, hey, can you do a video for us as well? Now you've got content for Amazon Live, plus you've got post, plus you've got engaging content. It's a win-win-win-win. So if you're just putting up stupid photos of your product, it's a product shot, a bad product shot just 10 feet back on an Apple phone, or the backside of it, or your product turned over, it's going to be as engaging as, it's just going to be garbage. So that's real. And the other thing too, people don't realize that they can download their reports and get a lot more content. So if you're just looking on Amazon Post, so post.amazon.com, if you don't download your post, you don't get all the other. I think there's 5 additional columns that can really help you understand. So, anyways, that's kind of a rough Reader's Digest version.
No worries. Tim, Brandon, any thoughts on posts?
Not really. There's so much stuff out there, and like Norm will throw out all the stuff. Norm just talked about Shop Loop. I just Googled what Shop Loop was. I'm looking at it here on my screen. Like there's so much I can't do at all.
I'm looking for Repost. Like he's dropping nuggets. I'm like, what is Repost? That's awesome.
Brandon,
I will say though.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, Tim, go on. You follow, and I'll ask after. Yeah.
I was gonna say one thought that I had listening to Norm talk about this and going to this, like I don't even know what post is. And this has something to do with what I think will be a trend this year or something that we should be focusing on. There's just too much out there for us to be able to be jack of all trades for everything. Little side note, I cannot run a Facebook ad to save my life. I can't do it because I've never had the time to focus on it. I have to outsource that. And what's happening is people are becoming experts at these micro verticals within e-commerce and with digital marketing things, and they're powerful. And one of the least utilized resources that I think we have are affiliate marketers, right? So as e-commerce experts, we have to learn logistics and production and branding and this and this and this. But digital marketing is freaking hard. It is so freaking hard. And the people that's all they do are affiliate marketers. They don't have to worry about sourcing. They don't have to worry about logistics. They don't have to worry about brand. All they do is they understand how to find an audience, connect people, and convert. That's what they are, is they're conversion specialists. And you don't have to pay them because they're getting paid by whatever the channel is. So I think
that's going to be changing moving forward, Tim. I think that Amazon is starting to crunch down and reduce the percentage that they're giving.
Yeah, haven't they reduced in the last 6 months? They've reduced the affiliate fee, didn't they?
Well, they reduced it 2 years ago, and they reduced it the last 6 months. So what's happening is these affiliate marketers are not able to focus on Amazon. They're having to find the next thing. So the affiliate marketers are focusing on Clubhouses and TikToks and things like that, but they need to be fed product. So I tell everybody, don't be an Amazon seller, be an e-commerce seller. As we continue to take our brands and products and not become dependent on Amazon, we become platform agnostic. I think there's a big separation where these affiliate marketers are dying for products to sell. And they need us as much as we need them. So for me, looking at 2021, instead of focusing on how do I specifically focus on finding TikTok influencers and stuff like this, I want to find 10 really good affiliate sellers and let them do the work, finding the channels and finding the conversions, let them pay for the PPC spend, let them pay for the influencers, and me just be the channel for them to connect them with products because they're better at it than I am. So I think there's a big opportunity there. I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't mastered it, but I've been watching affiliates for about the past year. And I think that it's an untapped resource for e-commerce sellers that we're not talking about at all.
Yeah. I'm just going to quickly go to the comments here. Yelchin says, hello, great guys. Mark says, hey guys, looking forward to the show. Great group of guys. Alan's back here. The Three Musketeers, nice to see you fine gentlemen. Wellington says, good morning, guys. Alan is back and saying the Four Musketeers are complete. What else we've got? Side B here is, am I on the right podcast? Looks like something out of Monty Python. So those listening on the playback of the podcast, Norm looks like a Viking. Maybe we can do a screen grab and give you somewhere down to download it. Elchin says, hi from Turkey. Nice to see you all. Facebook user says, Norm Farrar, helmet, sunny face. Side B says, oh, this is WeChat from earlier on. Harlan says, hey everyone. Tom says, Norm is dressed to kill. Gabrielle says, hi guys, are lead times at long as normal? I'm just starting to look for a new supplier. A big move for me as I can't start the order until March, allegedly because of lack of raw material. That would be 4 to 5 months instead of 30 to 45 days. Let's just quickly stop here on that and revisit this, because this is going to be a big problem. We know that February 12th is Chinese New Year. I've done a show before Christmas with Kian about that because of being on the front end or the back end of the Chinese New Year and the quality of products. How are you guys dealing with this coming lead time? Have you had everything in the bank way ahead of schedule, or are you guys behind and not going to look to get containers landing till what, May time?
Yeah, I'm dealing it with a lot of wailing, gnashing of teeth, and tears.
Yeah.
Because I'm sucking it up. My Q4 sucked. My December sucked because I ran out of everything. It was awful. I couldn't get product in. Like, I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, it's been very difficult logistically to keep everything in stock and to figure it out. I'm at a huge advantage there, I think, because our team is based in China. So we're up to 12 employees. We're hiring another 4. And my wife is able to stay on top of supply chain. But for us, even, we ran out of stock of probably a third of our SKUs, and we were close to missing out. We started really crunching down. A lot of people were starting to go on vacation mid-December because there was nothing else you could really do. And we were putting in 14-hour days trying to figure out what do we need to order, what are we getting samples of, what are we finalizing new products, because we have products that we're going to drop for Easter and for, spring that need to be on the water this month or you're going to be out.
No?
I think we have to take in consideration variables. And the biggest variable is your inventory. So how can you work with that inventory? And that's working with your supplier. Basically, maybe even becoming more of a partner, like partnering with them. Pay them more, but get them to manufacture that inventory, keep it in the 3PL, have a good month's supply there. So if you got 2,000 units that are here, have 2,000 units back in China, work out, and we've been able, for the most part, probably the high majority, work out some really great terms, like having 20% deposit, having it sitting on the floor. Some of it, like the knife I was just talking about, that was free, and they were able to give us 90-day terms. So anyways, I think that's going to be the key. If you can have an extra month or two of inventory, and it's going to take, like we're talking about here, 2 or 4 or 5 months to get it into play, well, that inventory is going to save your butt while it's perpetual, so it starts again.
It will do, but don't forget, you've just said, pay more for the product, so that affects your margin, and then your cash flow is affected by having everything sitting in a Chinese warehouse or your 3PL.
That's exactly what I was going to say. But Norm brought up a great point there.
Yeah. No, it is a great point, but then it goes back to plug is funding, Tim. Yeah, so you're going to have to kind of shuffle a lot around there in terms of your cash flow. You're absolutely right, but then as soon as you kind of try and solve that problem, you then have a cash flow problem, don't you?
No. Because usually when we're working with our clients, usually what they're doing is their traditional 30% up front, then pay when they're basically shipping it out at the dock. This way, we've been able to negotiate, and this is on the average, 20% for the inventory that's there, 20% that 30 days later, or sorry,
Gotcha. So you got a structured deal and that helps. Yeah. Okay.
60, 90 days terms. So it's only happened once where we've got 90-day terms, but for the most part, we can extend that out 30 days or 60 days. Now our cash flow is even better than it was before.
Yeah, I think it's coming down. I just literally had a call about this a couple days ago with my team and with Seller System, with the Inner Circle. So what we talked about was proper expectations, setting goals for 2021, right? And so people don't understand the amount of times you turn your cash over is critical to how much money you can make, because it's compounding your capital, right? And what Norm is bringing up is, you need to go deeper on your inventory, which obviously increases your cost of capital and you turn over your capital less. But if you have to calculate the extra cost of capital of offering to pay the supplier a little bit more for the better terms. And then what is that actually costing you as a percentage? Like if you look at it and compare it to a loan with an interest rate, or you consider that your capital, you put your own capital, but it's tied up longer because you're just going deeper. What is going to be the best for you as far as an annualized ROI? And that's the type of calculation that you guys need to be making as Amazon sellers. And you need to be realistic. Like I have sellers that come in, and the reason I had the call is really just an introduction and for people to have tempered expectations. It's like where you've got a product by sea, you're only going to turn your capital 3 times a year, maybe, because you've got a lot of lead time and time on the ocean. And now you have to bounce it off of 3PL, and Amazon's taking longer check-in times and all of this stuff. And then Amazon holds your money before they pay you out. So think about from the time you develop the product to the time you actually get paid, you're at 20 something weeks. So how many times can you, like, that's the first round. And then maybe you can get it down to 3 times a year after that. So you can't come into this business with $5,000 or $10,000 and say, I want to have $1 million business by the end of the year. It's just not realistic.
No, you start with $500, don't you, Brandon? And then you work your way up from there. No, I'm only joking. Right. Yeah. Said says Norm Farrar he's funny on Instagram. I love Instagram. Ben has come back and says we were listed drones in the US from the UK, and our liability insurance went up by £20,000.
You got to sell a lot of drones to make up that difference.
Exactly. Herb says, I'm already planning to get general liability. I know my competition on Amazon are all Chinese from the sole buy address. So maybe if I'm the only USA based company with insurance, I'll be the last listing standing. Yara
That's a really interesting point on the insurance that you were talking about. I want to just revisit that because
let's do it. Yeah.
We self-insured for the first few years. Because it was required by terms of service, but it wasn't required because they never actually asked for it. And then we did the calculation, and it's like, well, if we just put this money back into our business and then we knew we had extra money on the sideline, I don't recommend people do this, obviously, but like for the most part, we never carried insurance for the first maybe 3 years we were doing private label. I mean, and then when we started getting heavier into toys, we're like, we should probably get insurance now because, kids are playing with our stuff. But like when we were selling bags and wireless accessories and things like that, it's like, what do we really need liability insurance for? And why would we just light a few $1,000s on fire every month? So we never bothered. But yeah, it is going to be something that really weeds out. I like that prediction that you made, Danny or Tim. If they just come down and drop the hammer, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to benefit and a lot of people that are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
I think one of my main predictions for this year, we're in a bubble with all of these aggregators. I've spoken to maybe 6 or so this week. Obviously, I do a lot of stuff with Thrasio anyway. But I think it's definitely interesting times. I think the next 24 months, I don't know what your take, Brandon. I know you just like to keep building and building. But I think this is going to be a great time in the next 24 months to sell your Amazon business. And 2 things, the reason I say this as well is because there's so many aggregators coming into the market, fighting for that top echelon. They've got, doing over $1 million. If they're selling on multi-marketplaces, depend on their margin, what type of products, what price points and stuff. There's only so many of them to go around. And with all of these aggregators coming in, and they know that multiples and speed of getting the deal closed is key. And I think that really weighs in the favour of the Amazon seller, because we've all seen it where you can have a multi-million-pound brand or dollar brand, and then we had COVID and it took out your travel business overnight and you're gone down to zero. So I think if you haven't taken money off the table, definitely next 24 months, you should be looking at selling your Amazon business and then go again. Put some legacy money away, because this could be a really, really good time. Brandon, what's your thoughts, starting with you?
Yeah, it's interesting because we get solicitations all the time from aggregators and people asking, hey, are you interested in selling your business? And this is more of a new trend. It's not something that was happening 6 months ago, but we've had maybe half a dozen emails from 3 or 4 different companies where they've got salespeople that are just scouring and they're using software to filter businesses based on maybe revenue and how long they've been in, number of reviews, things like that. And then they just email you and say, hey, are you interested in selling your business? This is going to be a great time to exit in the next year to 2 years for us.
Are you going to go for it then? Because I know you've been building to 8 figures, but where does it stop for you where it stops being enjoyable?
Have a number in mind. I mean, it's interesting. Like, the multiple needs to be there. We're probably aiming. We're going to roll up, 4 or 5 of our brands and sell. We're probably going to want a 6 or 7 multiple.
But how are you managing? Because you're just gone past 8 figures now, right?
Yeah.
How has that been affecting your margin over time?
It's getting better, actually. So what's interesting,
which isn't always the case, is it? Because a lot of people end up giving up margin.
So it's funny, Danny, and it's like you have this hump you have to get over, and your margin is basically a U curve. As you grow when you're first starting, and you don't have a foundation of profitable products that are already in maintenance mode that are at a nice margin, then you're eating most of that profit to launch new products. But you can only launch so many new products. So as your stability and your higher margin, stable products becomes a larger percentage of your overall portfolio, the newer product launches don't eat into your overall margin as much. So now our margin has gone up, and throughout the holidays, we were at 35%, which is, really high for us. We were averaging 22 to 25% throughout the year, and then Q4 we really crushed everybody because we were running low on inventory. We decided just to keep raising our prices, and my team has gotten really good at just becoming more efficient and all those things. I think that the previous year we were lucky if we were at 17 to 20%, right? So I mean, I think every year as you grow, and that's just growing pains.
Do you think also it's because whereas people just try and grow on a batch of existing products, you put out shitloads of products all the time, right? It's like a portfolio for you. So for you, there's a huge turnover of bringing out new products. Therefore, you're able to work and get better margins and make better decisions each and every time you're launching.
Yeah, not only that, I think that a lot of the new product launches that we're doing are related to other products that we've already done, so we're more efficient with it. Yeah. And also a lot of them can become variations so that the launch is less expensive as well. So you can go straight into just being a variation and it's no different. Like, your margin's pretty good right away. Whereas like launching a new product into a new sector with the new research, your risk goes up a little bit. But if we already know the keywords, what works, the main images, we've dialed everything in as far as efficiency and optimization, that next product becomes so much easier to launch.
Yeah. Tim, bring you in here. Sellers funding. You must see a big trend, because obviously with people trying to grow their business aggressively, they're coming to you for cash. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing that kind of what you said, this influx of, I call them consolidators, these people that buy up, roll up businesses, is creating a very, very competitive market. And I think that a lot of what spurred this is Thrasio. Thrasio hit that $1 billion valuation, and they were like the fastest US-based company to ever hit profitable unicorn status, they call it in the VC world. And what's happened is that got a lot of attention of these micro hedge funds, right? So now all these hedge funds are putting together these projects to buy up these companies. They're trying to follow Thrasio. So what's happened is all these hedge funds and VC companies that didn't know anything about e-commerce 6 months ago have put together humongous resources, right, to and credit facilities to put this together. So I'm seeing all these companies pop up that just have mountains and mountains of money. So I do think you're right that maybe the 24-month mark is substantial. because I think this is going to be a little bit of a bubble, meaning I think people are potentially overpaying for companies right now.
Yeah, they will do because of the competition and the
Yep.
speed. And if
And
they're
also-
if they've got a fund, right, and they're desperate to close the business, and they know
Yeah.
with the fund they only need a couple of unicorns out that fund because the rest can die a death. It doesn't matter, and it's just the same VC model that you're going to have
Yep.
like they have in Silicon Valley, but it's done for commerce.
And the way that like an investment fund like that works, where they have a basically a pool of money to pull from, like that company has KPIs to put certain amounts of money out. They have KPIs to spend money, so they're competing to spend that. Now, what's happening is a lot of people that are making these purchase decisions, these acquisitions, don't understand all the nuances of e-commerce and branding and restrictions and things like that. And what I think is going to happen is when we hit that 24-month mark, they're going to realize, hey, these aren't quite as profitable or sustainable or scalable as we thought they were, and the valuations will start to dip. Now, I think this is encouraging because people that have established brands, who was it recently publicly said something about Lori Barsfeed? You guys know her? I had her on the AMPM podcast, but she had a line of like foot pumice stones that she put together. She has a really crazy story about her brother dying in the South Tower of the World Trade Center on 9/11, all this stuff. And that started this project to build this brand. And she was publicly stating on like Facebook the other day that and LinkedIn that she had an offer that she never imagined would ever come in. She wasn't looking to sell her business. She just had people coming to her with just mountains of cash, and she had no idea she could build this asset. So I think that the takeaway is if you have an established brand and you think that there's not much value there, there may be a lot more value than you think. The other thing is 24 months is a lot of time. There's a lot of time to build something. If you haven't started, if you've been researching, you've got one or two products, I think that you've got, Danny's point, 24 or 30 months to make this happen. And what's crazy is you can build this thing pretty fast in the next 12, 18 months, especially SKU by SKU level. And, Brandon was saying 6 or 7 times multiple. I know that's not normal because he's got so much outside traffic and stuff that thing's applicable. But I think that the average is 3 or 4. Maybe
2.5 to 3.5. Yeah.
So that's a pretty big multiple. And what's crazy about e-commerce is if you do it right, this can be a side hustle, right? So there's a lot of people out there that talk about, $1 million in sales and driving their Lambos and all that stuff. But I know a whole lot of people that would love to pay off their house. They want $100,000. You don't have to do a whole ton of sales in an e-commerce brand to get that 3 or 4 times multiple and get this thing bought out by one of these consolidators for $100,000, $150,000, $200,000.
And the thing is, if you can, the thing, one of the key things is if you can get all your products out in year 1, and then by you get to year 2, then your growth rate looks very impressive. So that's if you can work that out. I mean, it's going to slow us down now. Obviously with what's going on in China, but if you're looking to build a business now, one of the good things that you can to help with your multiple, get your products out year 1, get your cost down, expand to the other necessary markets, might be Germany or the UK if you're doing outside the US, and then your growth rate looks fantastic and it makes it more impressive, and that'll give you a better opportunity to get the multiple that you want.
Yep.
Norm, any thoughts on the aggregators?
Yeah, like right out of the gate. And right now, by the way, I think this is, back in the days with ASM and, those huge events and people pouring into Amazon, we're not seeing that because we can't go to events. But all these new, really great minds, these people learning to be an entrepreneur and learning commerce, they're going to come out. I believe we're going to come into a bubble. There's going to be a lot of new businesses out there. And the opportunity is great. I mean, over the next 2 years, I think it's going to be fantastic. However, you've got to, if you're going to get into e-com, and yeah, you can do the side hustle. However, you've got to run it. If you've decided to go in with 2 feet, right from the get-go, I've learned this the hard way. You've got to run it like a business. You've got to, if you're doing things that are repetitive, make sure that you get them into an SOP so you can expand. At multiple SOPs or standard operating procedures or policies and procedures may not get you that extra 0, but if there's 10 companies that VC is looking at, and how can they enter into how can they get into the business very simply? If you've got the automated or the ability to give them SOPs, automation and scalability, right? That's what they're looking for. Then you've got really accurate accounting and all of your systems are in place. That will go a long way to turn your business very quickly. It's not a multiple play. Multiple plays are if you want to build that brand. But if you want to grow a brand and you can grow it really wide, and there's that opportunity there. There's perception. There's all sorts of different things that can go into it. But if you grow it like a business, man, I don't think I've ever been in a year or two. Like if I had a crystal ball, I don't know if there's ever better any time, in the history, at least in my life, to be an e-commerce.
Yeah. Just going to go to a couple of questions before we close out the show. Just going back to Gabrielle from earlier on. Any advice when changing the main supplier? Any personal experience with this? Cheers. Brandon, do you want to take this one?
Hey, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're on the other channel, aren't you? You're on the other side. Go and see Norm in 10 minutes' time. All right, we'll let you jump off, brother.
All right. See you later.
Lovely
Good to see you, Norm.
you.
Norm
Take
the
care.
Conqueror.
Norm the Conqueror.
So,
do you want to take this one?
Yeah, we've made changes to suppliers. We even try to have backups on a lot of our products, so we have a secondary supplier in case they're backed up or there's an issue. So what we typically do is make a new offer. So it's you go into your inventory page and you click on create new condition. So edit, create new condition, and then it's new, and it gets its own SKU, but it's the same ASIN. So you assign a new SKU to it, and then you keep that one closed even when the inventory checks in until the other one's out. So that way there is consistency with your brand. Use this opportunity when you change suppliers also to revisit your packaging, try to make it more efficient, nicer, improve the quality, make it smaller so that your shipping costs and your fulfillment costs go down. So anytime you can, and then when you make that change, you're just creating a new condition. And so to avoid commingling your inventory, just create a new condition, keep it off until the other one's out. And when the other one runs out, turn that one, actually close it so that when Amazon randomly finds inventory like they do regularly, it doesn't just get mixed in and sold, or you have two offers on your page, because they don't like that either. And then if any do get found, just recall them and keep that listing closed.
Cool. Tim, any words of wisdom on that?
Yeah, I think that what Brandon said is accurate about always having a backup. Like changing your supplier when you need to change your supplier is the wrong time to change your supplier, right? So what I'll do is everything that I have established, that I have running, I will maybe every 6 months take some of those samples and I use sourcing agents team, used to be business partners in Shanghai, that will reach out to other people and say, hey, what would it cost you to make this? What would it cost you to make this? What ideas do you have for improvements on packaging? Now, if they come back with some improvements and I don't need to change suppliers, well, that was kind of some free research for me, right? Because they'll come up with something. But you need to be able to pull the trigger quick, because the problem is you don't know you need a new supplier generally until you need to reorder. Well, then you're screwed, because now if you start the sourcing process, for me, it's usually about 2 months, sometimes 3 months. 3 or 4 weeks to go out and get initial pricing, find the factories, they send the samples, you send the samples back, you get the prototype, you get 3 months, guys. Like, you need to have that locked down. So if I pulled up my spreadsheet of suppliers and SKUs, you would see contact information below I usually try to have 2 potential backups below it. And that's something you got to have done well prior to actually needing it.
Cool. Well, look, let's wrap that there. Unless you've got any final words? Actually, one last question. Rebate key, rebates. Where do you think that's going this year? Do you think the trend's still going up, or what, Brandon? What's your take? Sorry to put you on the spot. I know you're an investor in rebate key.
Yeah,
you shoot from the hip.
I'm one of the owners.
Yeah, exactly. So shooting from the hip. Where do you see that go?
So what's really interesting is that Amazon, in particular, and Facebook have started to crack down on rebates, quote unquote, for reviews. So now it's against Facebook terms of service to incentivize for reviews for any marketplace. So if you do that, you're going to lose your Facebook ads account. You're going to lose your ManyChat account, like your chatbot account, and your page will be shut down from being able to send messages, basically. So Rebate Key as a third-party platform is still an interesting play, but it's not for reviews. And I don't recommend using it for reviews, but they just added the search, find, buy feature. So you can plug in the keywords that you want the rebate key buyers, and we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not a million already. You want them to go find. It's like a treasure hunt type thing where they go find your product. So you get the most organic type of search. You're not, even though Pixelfy is a great URL, and can work really well, then you can still use the search find buy. The recommendation there is that when you're first launching, search find buy is the most effective way, but you need to have that proper percentage of traffic coming from a lot of different locations. Make it as natural as possible. We could go on. We could do 4 calls just on launches, I'm sure. But the main thing is to understand with the rebate key is that make sure you have ads running so that people can easily find your product. You don't want them getting frustrated and having to go to page 10 for your product when you first launch. So if you have your ads running and they can just find your ad pretty easily from whatever you're trying to target.
Cool. Best way that people can reach you, Brandon?
Selelr-systems.com. You can also go to our Facebook page or group, Selelr Systems Succeeding on Amazon FBA. Shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm available.
Cool. Tim, best way to reach you?
Facebook. You can follow me on Facebook or Private Label Legion. There's a page and a free Facebook group there with content.
Cool. Don't forget tomorrow, guys. I won't be doing the show tomorrow. Thursdays are now taken over by Sharon Evan each week. So we have Bella on a Monday, me Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sharon Evan makes a debut tomorrow as a host on Selelr Sessions. I'll be back here again next week, but make sure you tune in tomorrow. We're on full lockdown here again in the UK. We've been here before. We know what to do. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, and I'll see you soon.